shootings, injuries, and death of some persons in the Jura in the Ashanti region on the 29th of June 2021. After an objective and painstaking examination of the report, we take the view that the committee's report is a poor attempt at cover-up. The report is full of faulty findings, flawed conclusions, and deficient recommendations, calculated to shield from accountability the murderers of a social activist, Ibrahim Muhammad, aka Machaka, and the traits of the subsequent violence in Edra by the military. Today's presser will thus focus on some of the false findings of the committee, and particularly on the death of Machaka and the recommendations of the committee we find deficient, particularly those that border on the unfortunate happenings in Edra on the 28th and 29th of June 2021. Distinguished friends from the media, our careful study of the reports, three reviews, I think again, this is from the media. Our careful study of the reports of the three committees reviews we find the list. Let me fix before we continue because a lot of people are streaming. Let me go back again. Ladies and gentlemen, after an objective and painstaking examination of the report of the committee, we in the NDC take the view that the committee's report is a poor attempt at cover-up. The report is full of faulty findings, flawed conclusions, and deficient recommendations, calculated to shield from accountability the murderers of a social activist, Ibrahim Muhammad, aka Machukaka, and the perpetrators of the state-sponsored killings in Nigeria by the military. Today's presser will thus focus on some of the false findings of the committee, particularly the death of Machukaka and the recommendations of the committee, which we find deficient, particularly on the unfortunate happenings in the draft on the 28th and the 29th of June 2021. Distinguished friends from the media, our careful study of the reports of the three-member committee reveals three fundamental problems which we find very troubling, to say the least. The first and most disappointing one is a false finding of the committee relative to who killed Ibrahim Ahmed, aka Kaka, who before his death was a social activist, as I've already indicated, and a member of the Fix the Country movement. The Justice Kumsin Committee in this report indicated that to them it is more probable that Kaka was killed as a result of a family feud and not because of his Fix the Country social activism. Friends from the media, nothing could be further from the truth than this claim by the committee. We in the NDC are appalled by the very labored, albeit unsuccessful attempt by the committee to shield the perpetrators of that heinous crime from liability and punishment. That finding flies in the face of the facts, cannot be accepted by the Ghanaian people, who expected certain shots of the truth from any impartial inquiry, what is sought into the sad events that unfolded in the drama. We wish to make the point forcefully, ladies and gentlemen, that no credible or verified evidence of any feud in Kake's family was adduced by any of the witnesses who appeared before the committee to testify, because there is none. One therefore wonders how the committee came to this contrived conclusion. Our checks as a party revealed that Kaka was at peace with his brother Idi and lived in harmony with him. This was duly corroborated by his wife, Sahada Hudu, mother, and family relatives of Kaka, as well as the people who lived with him or with them in one community. The idea that Kaka was killed as a result of family feud is therefore the invention of the Kumsin Committee, and as such cannot be allowed to stand. It is quite strange, ladies and gentlemen, that the committee dismissed the testimony of the wife of Kaka, Sada Hudu, about threats on Kaka's life by certain people who had issues with Kaka's social activism. It is no secret that assigns of the then MC of a drug, Salisu Bamba, who became uncomfortable with Kaka's social activism, which they claim was exposing their boss, the MCE, and the Yakufa Bawumia government to public ridicule and opprobrium, threatened Kaka with harm and death when he was alive. In fact, Kaka himself, before his unfortunate murder, had spoken about these threats in his life and indicated that should anything happen to him, the Edra MC Salisu Bamba should be held responsible. This account was also confirmed by Umar Abewaka's friend of Kaka when he appeared before the Kumsin Committee to testify. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, it has appeared to us, and I believe to all objective minds, that delinking Kaka from the fix the country conversation was the main reason for the setting up the Justice Kumsin Committee. And that's precisely what they have done. Is it not rather curious that the committee conveniently chose to ignore and sweep under the carpet a warning letter written by the Police Command dated 15 June 2021, less than 2 weeks before Kaka's murder, addressed Kaka, accusing him of offensive conduct conducive to the breach of the peace, all because Kaka was fighting for the development of Edra and Ghana at large. This warning letter from the police followed efforts by assigns of the then municipal chief executive for Edra, Salisu Bamba, to silence and cower Kaka over his fix the country activism. To have ignored this material fact and rather come to such a contrived finding of a family feud easily gives the Justice Kumsin Committee out as one with an agenda to twist the facts right from the word go. Having jettisoned these indisputable facts and plausible testimonies by persons close to Kaka, the committee rather, for some strange reasons, chose to accept hook, line, and sinker the testimony of one Aminu Mohammed and Sadia Fuseni, co-tenant of Kaka, who claims to have witnessed the immediate aftermath of Kaka's murder on 26 June 2021. This, the committee did without due cognizance of the fact that Sadia Fuseni had earlier given a contrary testimony in her first statement to the police when the matter first broke, in which she had indicated that she saw two big sticks and 2 men bolting away from the compound after she stepped out. As a matter of fact, it was on the basis of the first account of Sadia Husseini that Ibrahim Isaka, aka Anyas, and Husseini Al-Hassan, all of whom are known bodyguards of the then Ejura MC Salisu Bamba, were arrested a day after Kake's murder. How Sadia Husseini changed her first testimony 2 days after and ended up blaming Kake's own blood brother Idi for the murder, when she had earlier given a different account to the police, and why the police have concealed this critical fact. That is the first statement given by Sadia Husseini. And why same was not considered by the committee in assessing Sadia's credibility as a witness are mind-boggling, to say the least, and only speaks volumes of the desperate attempts by the Kumsin Committee and government at covering up the true circumstances surrounding Kake's murder. It should be abundantly clear to any objective observer that the initial accounts of Sadia Husseini, to the effect that she found 2 big sticks at a crime scene, which account has been confirmed by the police, completely belies the second testimony by this same Sadia Husseini, that it was Idi, Kake's blood brother, who killed Kaka. Clearly, no one person could have used those 2 big sticks at the same time to carry out that dastardly atrocity. That piece of evidence shows clearly that the account that there were 2 people involved in the murder of Kaka is more probable and plausible. Also, we find it quite strange and unacceptable that the committee made no efforts to verify the in-camera testimony of Aminu Muhammad, who testified as a friend to Kaka and testified to a feud between Kaka and his brother Idi. Per our checks, he, Aminu Muhammad, and Aminu Muhammad himself confirmed this. He lived in Burkina Faso and was not in Ejura when Kaka was murdered. He was also not in Ejura at the time of the Ejura disturbances on the 28th and the 29th of June 2021. Aminu Muhammad provided no evidence, not a scintilla of evidence, to buttress his claim that Kaka, before his gruesome murder, had caused the arrest of his brother Idi, and could not even tell the committee the offense for which Idi was arrested. Also, Aminu provided no evidence to buttress his claim that Idi traveled to Nigeria immediately after his arrest and detention and release in 2020, which claim has been flatly refuted by the family of Kaka. In fact, according to the family, Idi has never traveled to Nigeria in his life. Yet the committee wholeheartedly relied on this in-camera. This evidence was not given to the public. It was given in-camera to the committee members alone. Yet they wholeheartedly relied on this in-camera testimony without verifying same from the police or Kake's family. There is no indication whatsoever in the 55-page report of the committee that they took any steps to verify Aminu Muhammad's claim about the existence of a feud between Kaka and his brother, Idi, before they came to the findings and conclusions contained in their report. So somebody comes to testify that Kaka was killed because of a family feud. He was killed by his brother, and that the brother had a motive to do so, because to him in 2020, Kaka caused the arrest of his brother. Now, the committee didn't reach out to the police in Ejura to confirm this, whether indeed Idi was arrested and detained in 2020. Aminu provided no evidence to buttress this. Neither did he provide any evidence to buttress his claim of a family feud between the two brothers. In fact, according to him, he was not even in Ghana when Kaka was murdered. He was in Burkina Faso. Aside that, and if you listen to the family very well, he has not even been in touch with Kaka for years now. Yet, this guy who gave testimony in camera, in secret, and which testimony was not contested, which testimony was also not verified, okay, got his testimony taken hook, line, and sinker. The wife, the mother, the family relatives of Kaka have all said that the two brothers lived in peace and harmony, and that Idi had no motive to commit that crime. And in fact, no such evidence was adduced before the committee. Yet this is what the committee and the MPP would have us believe. And so, friends from the media, to us, given the fact that the Justice Kumsin Committee had no smoking gun or conclusive evidence on the matter of who killed Machu Kaka, it is our considered view that they should have stayed their conclusion on the matter and left it to the police to resolve same through criminal investigations and possible forensic investigations to establish the truth. Rather, they chose to prejudge the outcome of the ongoing criminal investigations based on mere conjecture, as they have sought to do in their reports. This is particularly so given the fact that none of the accused persons, and this is a very important a very important point, sorry, none of the accused persons were heard by the committee. Idi was not heard. None of the accused persons were heard. Therefore, aside the fact that the finding of the committee relative to who killed Kaka is palpably false, it also breaches the rules of fair trial and natural justice. We in the NDC condemn in no uncertain terms this shameful attempt by the committee at cover-up, and hereby unreservedly support the decision of the Kaka family to reject the report. It bears reminding the Justice George Kingsley Kumsin Committee that what the family of the late Kaka and the people of Edra need is justice and not money. For there cannot be justice, there cannot be peace, without justice. And there cannot be justice without truth. And no amount of pecuniary or financial inducements, as recommended by the committee, can replace the precious soul of Machu Kaka. Justice and nothing short of that is what is needed in this case. Friends from the media, the second major shortcoming of the report of the three-member committee has to do with the deficiency or insufficiency of its recommendations on the state-sponsored killings of two Edra youths, Abdul Nasil and Mutala Mohammed, and the maiming of several others on the 29th of June 2021. It is instructive to note that the committee found that the unprovoked firing of live ammunition by the Lieutenant Martin Opoku-Adusei-led military detachment into the crowd of protesters, which led to the death of two persons with several others sustaining life-threatening injuries, was excessive and unwarranted. However, the committee's recommendation on this important finding, which is that the military command should review the conduct of the Lieutenant Martin Opoku-led soldiers and, in quotes, apply appropriate sanctions, is nebulous and leaves much to be desired. This is because of the vagueness of this recommendation, which in our view has created a gaping hole for those trigger-happy MPP vigilantes clothed in military attire to possibly get away with their murderous acts. If you say appropriate sanctions should be applied, what constitutes appropriate sanctions? The committee was constituted to recommend specific sanctions. And so for us, that hazy, that vague recommendation is not proper. We think that the committee should have recommended clear and specific punishments for these errant soldiers whose reckless conduct caused the avoidable deaths of 2 Ghanaians. The testimony of Multimedia's Erastus Asaredonko, which was upheld by the committee and supported by video evidence, indicates that the soldiers, without any justification, fired live ammunition into a crowd of peaceful protesters, resulting in the avoidable deaths of the said 2 people and injuries to several others. Without any provocation or justification, the soldiers lowered their shooting angle, with some kneeling down to take aim and shoot at the retreating crowd. Given the fact that precious lives have been lost as a result of the deliberate and cruel actions of these soldiers who were led by Lieutenant Adusei, which to us amounts to reckless disregard for human life, we think that the committee should have recommended nothing short of the outright dismissal and criminal prosecution of all the 10 soldiers involved, to serve as a deterrent to others and assuage the pain of the affected families and the people of Edra. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, it is equally reprehensible and unacceptable that the committee did not recommend any sanctions for the political and top military actors who deployed these soldiers in the first place. This is because per the committee's own finding, the deployment of the soldiers to Edra was premature and needless. The committee, the Kumsin Committee, in their report, affirms our position that soldiers should have been called upon to quell the justified and legitimate agitation of the Edra youth as a last resort. Yet, they were called in by the irresponsible and reckless and useless Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, the commanding officer of the 4th Infantry Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Kwesi Wari-Prepra, and the General Officer commanding Central Command Kumasi, Brigadier General Joseph Apo, as a first resort. And so, having established that the deployment of soldiers to Edra was improper, one would have expected the Kumsin Committee to have recommended sanctions for those responsible for that wrongful deployment. But no such recommendation was made in their report. If this does not speak to a certain ground coalition to cover up the heinous crimes of these actual masterminds of the unjustified Edra killings, then we do not know what else does. We in the NDC hold the view that the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, who without any due diligence or verifiable intelligence deployed soldiers to Edra and gave them orders to do what they did, which he appeared before the committee to defend, ably supported by the 4th Infantry Battalion Commander and the General Officer commanding Central Command Kumasi, must be dismissed from their positions for the poor judgment they exercised on the matter, which led to the loss of precious lives and several injuries. The soldiers on the ground were only following the orders of these people, these real masterminds. Also, the committee's recommendation for the transfer of the Edra District Police Commander, DSP Philip Kojo Hammond, whose reckless conduct provoked the Edra disturbances and triggered the shootings and killings of 29 June 2021, is insufficient and I should say ridiculous, to say the least. In fact, that recommendation is an insult to the sensibilities of the affected people and their families. Transferring a police officer to another station in the same capacity and rank can never be considered as disciplinary action. Friends from the media, how on earth can a mere administrative transfer, which have been touted as a routine exercise by the security agencies in time past, be recommended as punishment for a senior police officer whose unprofessional and reckless conduct has caused the death of 2 Ghanaians and injuries to many. Again, we in the NDC hold the view that the committee should have recommended a more punitive and deterrent sanction, such as the demotion or even dismissal of the Dra District Police Commander. Additionally, ladies and gentlemen, the third difficulty we in the NDC have with the Dra Committee report has to do with its abject failure to recommend any sanctions for the senior security officials comprising police and military officers who appeared before the Kumsin Committee to lie under oath without blinking their eyes, ostensibly to defend the unwarranted state-sponsored killings of 29 June 2021 in Edra. Specifically, Brigadier General Joseph Apo, the General Officer Commanding Central Command Kumasi, was seen on national television falsely testifying at the committee's hearing under oath that their men on the ground gave verbal warnings to the peaceful protesters before they started firing warning shots into the crowd of protesters. This claim was found to be false by the committee. He, Brigadier General Joseph Apo, Lieutenant Colonel Pepra, the 4BN commander, and Lieutenant Martin Upukwaduse, who led the 10 soldiers on the ground, even went on to lie that some of the protesters fired back at the soldiers and that the protesters who died were killed by gunshots from the crowd. This was also found by the committee to be false, based on video evidence of the incident from multiple sources. Most despicably, the Deputy Ashanti Regional Police Commander for Edra, DCOP David Ajemai Ajem, and the Dra District Police Commander, DSP Philip Kojo Hammond, lied under oath that the police deployed the water cannon vehicle to the burial grounds of Metro Kaka upon the request of Kake's family. This claim, which was refuted by Kake's family and found to be untrue by the committee, was what actually provoked and triggered the unfortunate disturbances in the Dra on the 28th and 29th of June 2021. Yet, despite these blatant lies that were peddled by senior security officials under oath, which amounts to the offense of perjury, the committee failed to recommend any sanctions for these officers. Friends, the crime of perjury is a serious offense under our laws and must not be treated lightly, especially in a matter of considerable national interest such as this, when these officials spoke under oath and were duty-bound to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. You cannot go and swear an oath before a court of appeal judge to tell the truth and nothing but the truth and lie through your teeth. Okay, and when you are found, you are left off the hook. That is an endorsement of perjury which should not be countenanced. We wish to submit forthfully that all persons who perjured themselves before the committee should be interdicted and prosecuted in accordance with law. In conclusion, friends from the media, we are pretty sure that at this juncture, you, who are objective observers, would agree with our assertion that anything but justice has been served in this Edra matter as far as the findings of the Justice George Kingsley Kumsin-led committee are concerned. This grand agenda to once again cover up, obfuscate, and try to normalize an issue of such magnitude and importance only speaks to what has been a consistent trend since President Akufo-Addo assumes the reins of power. Indeed, the starred events of Ayawaso West Wagon brutalities are still fresh in our minds. And so are the state-sponsored violence perpetrated by state security agencies during the 2020 general elections, which led to the death of 8 innocent Ghanaians. Consistently, perpetrators of violence have been emboldened by the nonchalance of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Our once revered state security agencies have been bastardized by the NPP, who continue to integrate their vigilante elements into them. Some security officials who are paid by the Ghanaian taxpayer to protect us have found comfort in maiming and ending innocent civilian lives and getting away with their crimes. This culture of impunity and gradual breakdown of law and order keeps growing and festering by the day because the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government is determined to promote lawlessness and shield wrongdoers. We in the NDC are appalled and disgusted by the phenomenon where otherwise respectable citizens allow themselves to be used by this Akufo-Addo Bawumia government to cover up serious crimes for political expediency, as is evident in the index case of the Justice Kumsing Committee. The events that unfolded at the DRA on the 28th and 29th of June, and this subsequent whitewashing of crime, impunity, and unprovoked bloodletting by state actors and security officials is yet another slur that has indelibly and irredeemably cast on the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Posterity, and I repeat, posterity, and indeed generations yet unborn, will forever remember this historical infamy. But most importantly, history will be most unfavorable and uncharitable to those who were entrusted with the responsibility to help unearth the truth, but rather aided and abetted in concealing same. We can understand how the family of Ibrahim Muhammad, aka Kaka, and other affected persons are feeling right now. We share in their grief and their pain. We know, just as the vast majority of Ghanaians know, that they have been handed a raw deal. However, we urge them not to despair nor give up. While they pursue other means of getting to the bottom of this matter, we wish to assure them that we stand shoulder to shoulder with them. But to those oppressors in this matter and their collaborators, be reminded that crime has no expiry date and that the truth cannot be buried, for it will spring forth like a seed in the fullness of time. Thus, those making themselves willing tools of murder and anguish for Ghanaian citizens under this despotic Akufo-Addo Bawumia regime must remember that there will be a day of accountability for them, and that day is approaching very fast. Thank you for your attention, friends from the media, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we take questions, and we hear our member of parliament for Edra. You know, parliament is on recess, so he was in Edra working for his constituency, but had to fly to Accra to attend this important press conference and set the record straight. And we are very happy that he is here. Before he comes to address us, I will do a small summary in P, because we have UTV and other local stations listening. And so I will plead with the English stations. The P presentation is equally important. We crave your indulgence to keep your cameras in position, and let's have order in the auditorium so that those who do not appreciate the Queen's language can also appreciate the issues, the very important issues we have discussed here. Anunti abusuanfo ne nsɛmtwerɛfo a yɛhyia mo wɔ ha de di kan yɛbɛma makɔ aba sɛ yɛto yɛn nsa frɛ mo maba ɛnɛ yɛfrɛ mo a ɛyɛ report a dɔnkuma a ɛyɛ abadwokuo a ɔmampanyin Akufo-Addo paw sɛ ɔmo nhwehwɛ adwira basabasaya a between the 28th and 29th of June 2021 esi wɔ no ma nipa mienu ɛhwɛ wɔn kwa nipa bebree so preprae no ɔmo report ɔmo de aba abɔnten no yanu di sɛm fa ho as amanyuku ɛna yɛfrɛ mo sɛ mommra ne yɛmfa ntom anim, because saa asɛm ne yɛ asɛm wɔ ɛbaa ɛha Ghanafoɔ nyinaa adwen paa ɛma yɛn nyinaa yɛsɛm fam yɛ ɛhyɛ yɛawerɛhoɔ. Yenina yin say Yakofa, Sabasa, and the Bayano. Abranti bia na obono ho modern pa ma adwamai na we Ghana need this share mapa e bia da we use the social media handles the bodewuro say or the primpuntu abadwura ene Ghana fa na nyina na o ye de obroni friend social activist o kana dwen bibi nkoyi e wa adwura ne nepatamu a o kana dwen na nansia nso ababunu bi wo Ghana ete fix the country movement o de ne ho kobo mu a let's just say all highlighting nyema enkoyi wo ye my Ghana mu se ne be ya nsesa beba ama o my Ghana afa ne to mapefra na we na on the 26th of June yete ye ne se emra abrantie free abonten bedu fie te ne mutu so nipa bonifuo bi de edua mienu ebobo no bobo ni timprepra na ye de ne call ayaresabia free mamponten de ne ba konfo no teaching hospital Fufi Antoanta Yenuano ehwere ne nkwa yesa asem no na egba mabu na wadwira eti etua mra wo moye oye kire asojafo ekọ yekotututu ebubu binum eku nipa mienu eprepra binum a nam santi no aban wete abadwoku se omonhwehwe sa asem ne mo ti emu bi de ene Ghana fo bebre a ne yepese ihu asem ne mu no kore no ye de ne de akire a enso committee no report obayi sa wo hwe nsem ewo mu a areho isanse ya ka no kore na hye no kore no wa asem ne mu ye no kataso mu aso se ne be ya wudifo omudi sa abone no ombitimi afọ mu hu adi te se de aban we ye ne da no na no yesi da bi yentumi ntina ho emma ne nkoye kaka ne nabusuafo nko asem because asem we ye Ghana fo nyina asem ye face the country adwuma na ho ya ato ye nchembu eto no awudie we ye didi no ti se na eye ono a o kire betimi so aye won so aname nso ti ye se ye nyina no no kre wa asem mu aye nimbia no ye beka ti na ye frem wan semiensa ene wo report ni mu a ye dwene ho aye ntiase a ye pese ye di mu nchiremu eba na mo a mutie yen so no matimi atensem na se na mahu de oka no kre de di kan eye asem a committee no justice kumsin committee ne kan efa kaka wu no wan ni kun kaka so obehwe a committee na dwuma pa de na efa 28th and 29th basa ye ba ye through demonstration ye soldier for ekotutu kunkum nipa no but on terms of reference no de etoso mienu ne ka se omu betumi ahwehwe ensem omu free say eye kofa bae ana se enne saa demonstration wo twaka so reasonably you can expect them to investigate the death of Kaka because obi anim say ye no ne kofa asanse ne nyina bae na asem a committee ne kan fa Kaka wu ne ho ne se omu de omu hu ne se ye abusuantokwa ene kofa Kaka wu ne bae na enye Kaka fix the country activism wa oye wo social media no ene ma yekun Kaka sa asem we abusuafo eye nkontompu nsem a e wose Ghana fo nyina no ye totwene na committee fo no ye se omu hu because adanse e wo ho no ene asem na omo ka no ebo abura ene say Kaka tiase no ono ankasa ye videos de babonten be kan se na dwuma oye de primpuntu oba atwira ene adwira MC ya obo na chinti no MPP mrantie bia omo ye adwira MC ya ye friend Salisu Bamba ni bodyguard mrantie ni din de Ibrahim Isaka aka Enyas ba koso de Fuseni Alhassan omo threaten de say adwuma na oye no odi gu MC ni omampenye kufu ado ani mu ase enti se wanyaye a de beto ni bia no eyo no anasem a nti Kaka kan sa stress we hu asem a e ma ono akra ka se bibia ye no a ye misa MC ma edwira Salisu Bamba ne yere Sahada Hudu ono so ekopie mu wo Justice Kumsin committee nanim no ono so dia dance ye ka bi to so sampa ni kunu no djuma na odi bua Ghana kankono no and because of that intino MC and MPP for be the to time crew mu a omo threaten sa na yere kan ho asem sa so na down for your friend no abe workers uma so could di adanse sa. Inti esi dan na committee na adesmese all this stress. Dia kaka na nkasa kan ye, dia ne yira kan, dia na danfo aka, dia na busuanfo aka. No Moses say dia ya busuantokwa. Abusuantokwa ben. Adanse ben na wo ekire se na abusuantokwa bi wo kaka ne nua idintemu a. Ene de yakum obi ya. Ya san so de owuo no ato ono ani nua maame baako papa baako. Abusuanfo mo hwa arewo semwe. Na de enti aye de ye ka se eyahurudu rada sem ne se. Committee ni se omugina nipa mienu adanse so ne disi se agina ye no. De odi kan ene maame aye frɛ no Sadia Fuseni a one kaka na tifie. A okodi adanse kire committee ni se ono de o te se dede bi koso wa abonte a opie ba ye no. Obehu se kaka nua idi atwe na ode no ekɔ adware na kaka nuane pie fifi nti ono de ohu ni se kaka nuane ne ku no na committee ni se o ye jiudi de o kan no eno ana no kretu do stress ne de ample ro bia but abusuan for the same Sadia Fuseni and ye best stress central for mu be disasem wo yachi ono na ye eyewitness I was say o ti dede no di kan pia bonten ekofre kaka yere ne maame so mo mehwe de asi Assembly C 26 June 27th June a police for Belfie ono the first statement of the man police ne say ohun nipa mienu se omu dwane afi compound ho and a crime scene was no hu konti ma mienu eye maame na num sem no enti eye na dance na odi ye no se ohun nipa mienu no describe us any nipa no and a man adura police for kwache Ibrahim Isaka aka Enyas and Alhassan Fusenia omo ye adura MC no bodyguards enya sa de ne emumisa omo se eye busuantokwa de asan amrantie mienu ne ye chi omo ye den omo ye kaka busuafo omo nya kaka busuafo nti omo ba busuantokwa mu sen ye chi omo because that was the first account the eyewitness Sadia Fuseni gave. After 2 days after mami say masesa ma no okọ committee no was oh ma hu mrantie mienu na mi hu kaka nua ada na wan kan o se o na misuro wa pia ba bonten wa ba beto se kaka wo ne nitifie da fom wo se hu se ni nua o ne nitifie twe na se na wanti bi anka nkire kaka ma me ne yire se eye wu nua kaka nua na aye ne sa wanti bi anka 2 days after say wo ka se hu nipa mienu ehu konti ma mienu a police for so aba be gia to mu se konti ma mienu no mo fa no crime scene no na kaka nua idi no pacho mu nkotwa ne mfonyini na mo hwese wote sen se ne kase yakura bedu me mesa me gemfia me gina he ya na watimi afa konti ma kase mienu left right e de aburu nipa ba ko sa aku no sa na adwo ma na semwe wo ka kira akura keto akura obeje dia na enti eye den na police for ankotwe first statement na Sadia Fuseni de ma wo na ma aden na sa first statement no o makata so o ma threaten police for CID officer will take ye nim ni din so yemfa ntodwa na ne ho akokire no but adenti e no wa threaten o mo se mo mfa sa first statement na Sadia Fuseni de ba ye e de ma wo mo se ohun nipa mienu no ene ma ade no mo mpese sa statement no be ba bonti ade na committee no an consider sa evidence no na de Sadia Fuseni no asesa na no aba be ka no e na o ma je atum ono abo MP ba obe chem Sadia Fuseni sese abrabo a owum na mahu de yekoso wadwira eno de nyame na meka because me meten kan ana me di me nkwe bada busuanfo eno na che no committee ni so abusuantokwa ne emayeku kaka because na kaka danfo bi di Aminu Muhammad obedi adanse no so obi aba obetra camera nim no waba bedi na aba TV so no obi ahu bi abrante enko aba o so no ne de na danse na agye so kudi ni dem a obi ani ho nti na danse okodi ye de committee for no na ka kire so mu di bia kan ho kra obi anya den enim because it was in camera testimony na danse okodi ye ne se na kaka ni nua idi no mo wontokwa na 2020 kra kaka ma ya che ni tumu na idi no kra no o free sales buy no o tu kwa ko Nigeria nti ono kra no ne kaka ne ntiye ne de keka ho yese na yekun kaka na wo se da bi na me wo Burkina Faso na woni ho ebiem Bonebe na idiya ya kakama ya che ni tum. Ose minim bone kro because I'm na mini. To nim bone kro ose idiya. Idi so oya kaka nua iso na busuafo se Nigeria kra onko hoda. Committee yi made up of a respected Court of Appeal judge. Any mpenyufo mu wa bodia kese wo man we mu entumi anko police station anko ye hwehwemu se de Aminu Muhammad Iken se ye che idi kakanua tumu in 2020 na ye no kre ananya no kre ensem wo ka ye nyina o ma nye verification bia o mo se de waka no ya je atum obusuafo asem we mu nya rem kaka ne yire a ono ye kunani ni kunu ye kunu ya aka ne manum no ne mamma num no ye tia many honorable party mpenyufo we ye ko adwira emra asem ni sie ma me ne say and we still have the videos o say mum osu say mum pacha ne yenyi mikunu ofre idi kakanua ne nikunu say omote ase nyina ono na boa ne kunu ma ne hwe ne ma enti ne kunu ni hoi ono na behwe ono abo meboa so hu omo say mikunu ni nua ni asem bia enti committee fo no ene Aminu Muhammad no odo kaka che ne yira na ne maame se me mani ni asembia abusuafo se me mani ni asembia mantamufo wo nyina ono bo mpi obi omo se omo ni asembia na ni peti nya hyedem akuku sa story we yan cross examine obi a yentie idia no asem na Court of Appeal judge mu a ye kran ketenkete wo emramu ne nim se wantie obi ano a wontimi emuwa ne kunfo you see you cannot judge a man on head and then your friend the odi or term pattern rule no. It is obi be ka asem to so say obi na akum nipa. It won't tie nipa na no asem na de akwahye o committee report mu say ye idi ne ku ne nua family feud ben. Yes katasu mu aso na mo pese mo ye. Na say mu free sa dance na ekita mo no enwie peye. Ye de akra de anya say we are taking sides. It is a word of Sadia Husseini. The second word, the second account no. I conflict in the first account no. It is that second account against the account of Kake's wife, Kake's mother and other witnesses. It is a who free say we need conclusive evidence. Your friend is smoking gun. Eh be mo hu de okum kaka. Eh your hye say wo be ka de okum kaka. Ka say we de ye hwehwe mu ni nya nwie pe ye nti e be gya ma police for ayeden ahwehwem. Because it's here because police for guso mo hwehwem. Suspects are in custody. Now be ka say busuan tokwa ena me okum kaka na just 2 MPP machofuo no. MC ni bodyguard no ye nya yo momeboa because they abusu antokwa na kaka nua mum nenam they are setting the stage to cover up the matter because our committee say we are saying for sure say abusu antokwa almost say it is more probable that Kaka was killed because of a family feud. Now yeka criminal matters it is not a matter of probability. Civil matter you determine on the basis of the preponderance of probabilities. But about criminal matter, lawyer for say you must establish will be guilt beyond every reasonable doubt. Yeah, lawyer for Krasi. Into why are they talking about probabilities here? I'm spending time on this because I say we yeah. Kaka anya boni bi adwuma na oye no man na okoma no. Oye MPP ni mapa. Ye wo power no boy achi obi ankum no. Na ye den on de ono ane party about power no oye fix the country agitations. E show nyamabone a aban eye wa adwira o pese nsesa ba ye kokum ni yaya ni ye sanso de hye ni nua ni ye pese ye ka no kure wa asem ni mu hye nti ye de ye se ye ne abusuafo ne ya adwen se committee report no mabo atu agu ye ne omo ya adwen pa because that is a committee ni se o ye ma o musika ne ye ma victims na aka ni sika betumi replace ni pa nkwana de ye hwehwe ne sa atentere ne be ye adwuma na atentere ne so be ye adwuma je se no kra ye den aye adwuma no krani atentere ne ye adwuma na wo se wo de mpatasika e ka ho a na ne obi ate ase na wontumi meka no kre no ensie enya kataso muaso na wo wi awaka se gisika ne yenfa no kre no koto nchen busuanfo de atoso mienu eye committee no recommendation fa asojafo mu kokututuo ekokunkum nipa committee no hwehwe mu kire se na enwu hia se ye be suma sojafo amoma kwa adwira because demonstration na amrante na ye no na enya ade a ehu burusu bia na committee na adwim no mu hu ni se nka a police fo no ye resource o mo ma o mo de na ehia komo kra betimi aso demonstration na no a ka basa ye bia embedra eno de ene omo ye ho adwen enti se asojafo a ye de omo kɔ adwira no na eso ni mfaso na emu hia na mmram pa asojafo adwuma na eni se ye de omo kɔ saa mmre na omo de omo kɔ ye ma omo orders omo kɔ tutu saa tu no omo de ade na ye gyae omo Ashanti Regional Minister Simon said mensa okasa basa okɔ committee nipa wu so okasa defend se se de o se ono de onya intelligence se asem no betumi escalate nti osoma soja for so mo ko ne ebisa na intelligence ru nya firi he o se no de menka eno de onka your man is intelligent bisi na onka he di se na mami ntwa so te bia na owo mu o de ma sa order no bi anim. And I hope those who understand me understand what I'm saying. So what you say? And yakoto tutuo nipa mienu Abdul Nasir Mutala Muhammad ombetumi anyini ababa be bibi papa mo mabusua ne omo man ne Ghana yakum omo yaya ye prepare bi was a Southford no Ashanti Regional Minister 4BN commander any general officer commanding Central Command Kumasi a omo masa orders no mo de emfa omo ni abusua for asem we yeso mu sen nti ano so yensom ye free say saafo ni nyina e wo senka committee ne kase yenyi wonadi yen fa mo so mfa mra kwan so na wo kina bi no o ma order so obi nkonko ya nyambransem a wadwen ho mienu be committee na nkasa nti ano so ya de ba kwa ye free say entwe ye de twato eye district commander committee ne say yen transfer no eno de em say asre sem san so ya atemdidie e ma ye nyina district commander wanye na dwuma yie na nam so ama nipa hwere won kwa o se yen transfer ni mfiri adwura na wo transfer ni de abaye ne den wonye ne hwe because o transfer no with the same rank ni the same position awowo which is a routine administrative exercise security agencies ne ye ti de free say wasn't komo ye ne say the rank no ya teso because wanye na dwuma yie ama nipa wu eno ne ye punishment ananse ye yinadi o chene bi no okwa adwuma foforo mu na o ye na adwuma obeye ne yie na nkwankwa fa ato ya nche ene nipakum ama abusuafo de twato ye a police form penyufo ni a soldier form penyufo a omokọ justice kumsin committee yanim na omohwe cameras mu na ye bisa omonsem abra omasuai so omobeka nokre na omutwa nkontompo na mparampara ko the 55-page report of Justice Commission Committee here. Mark find they say in some way kind in Kuntumpo. Police in Penia or a district, a friend of DSP Philip Hammond. Or Koka say you bizarre say na water cannon tanker, what they call water cannon vehicle, how they call a dress here. A man ye see machu kaka. I who's a man and to a warbono. Then I'm on the call because you quack see you be keke. Enti if we see any quack see kaka, what the saka and the call quede. Also, kaka bush for the car say Yanfamra. Yako usually more as a kaka bush for carry, or Mudomuku see or Modeshe, or Muinia water cannon vehicle. What this outron, police in the penny. Under oath. A soldier for penny for me, no by 4BN commander, and you feel Kumasabaya. Almost oh. Ya soldier for no kwa ko dru ho no omo ne lieutenant adu say ya no lead 10 soldiers na asem omo ka kire committee ni say omo di kan de omo no ebo mrantie no kokose omo nyai dede na omo ye no omo verbal warnings and san omo start fire warning shots na mrantie na ntie enti no e na omo start say omo ye sa eno so aye ko hwe videos city for record o ye joy for record o ya omo si free come and I'm sure we all saw the video. There were no verbal warnings. So we see free come and almost started so bututu. As I assume almost a monk and monk nipa. Not so Jenny Quabraniti me bunko to be pointing to AK-47 on a protester. Oh, to warning shot into old Johnny Free. Oh, to a bonnet chikuna. Unya would do for. Unya would do for. Now, what call Mumpenny for Aquamuso? Your moya and the no. Na a protesters ni bi na tututu na sa tuo ni bi ne kum omo mu wo ye no ye ko hwe video na protester bi ankita tu obi antutu na chese entro akese no maba be di under oath na Ghana mramu so no se wo twa ntro under oath Yes, we are guilty of an offense. I find perjury, a second-degree felony. And so, committee in the report over one KBBR and found one recommended any sanctions, and that is why I as a committee no, I katasumu was wejuma and no mobile because no crepa justice no more. I was saying for Nina and the one so, and yes, I dear name my yatin channel in your dream be say they are endorsing Satrona Umubidi. Tin the crack rad yakin and said, yes, you know, a ya. Same penufua. Na Ghana for be would you mumu say bit me man or cray was no more about bontain. No more would the same way for ye be a supreme apama or mono. Or mumum a yes, cover up, Sakatasumu Masui. Na a dear way and yard from and Pinu for the better cunyaso. A ye intitira sem the pacun cum de basabasa ya. A CBA swa. Now more would this a uno, ye jayomo, because of my buying also. And ye one was a soldier for this anyan branson. A MPP vigilante for Ibia Yasho Musuja Tarabia. And Yambranson Mudina, I was always going by elections, pre Nipa Bibri, Yenim one someone. 7th December elections, Nipa ye pre Prawomo, a kumbi, Nipa or Pia Yukumomo, a yen in someone. To be seen, Mampenyaku Fwadon can wash a Yama will be ampatesica, Yanchi will be I am phobian farmer council. Let us Mampenyaku Fwadono, or none I had the commander in chief. For the Ekosuni na a bar now a catason will move so no the show Mukutupa no more anymore. Tiadia, a Pezia Kacha can in a bush and for near Dramai say, Yenim a yawom womb, Yenim Yomukum, a Domunya Botre, a more moon give up, a more mon paba. Nana more whoopers of Mutubiano, yet Tiomochia, a bebo machidom, or Pim sent no cray was a numbipi, not justice, Ayaguma. As for Penufu, who freeze on Medi Bonnet, na Justice Kumsin report, Abaya Katasumu, Masunti, or Maform, who did it. Or Monka, who is a Bonnie, who will Suma. The check cry. Won't crew Abayama, Amano Crana Babontin. They may be Subaba, or Mobe answer for their crimes. And that day, no, and check cry, ever Banansia, and Television for the Munina must say thank you. So,
Okay, so we'll be taking questions both in English and then in Chi. If you have any question, kindly come on my right, and then let the technical people will help us with the microphones. Then again, let me also acknowledge today's radio, taking us live from Ejura. NJ FM, also taking us live from Ejura. Home Base TV, Ahoto FM, TV XYZ, Radio Gold, online. These are the stations I left out during the initial acknowledgement. Please, if there's any question, let's kindly take it. If you don't have any question, then Honorable Bow. Okay, so we'll take the first two. Let's go, and then.
All right.
Yes.
So my name is Obed. I report for
so
GH1 TV.
After then Honorable Bawa will join us.
I report for GH1 Television. I want to ask, beyond this press conference, will a future NDC that happened in Oja and prosecute those who they find culpable?
Okay, thank you.
My name is Emmanuel Saki. I work with Top FM Talk TV. A leading member of the committee in the name of Professor Vladimir Chidanso, he has stated clearly that they were not mandated to investigate the death of the late Kaka, but the target given to them was to investigate the disturbances which led to the death of the two youth. So my question is, why are we chastising the committee for something that they were not mandated, but not the government or the minister?
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I think you've made the point. Any other? Because after Honorable Bawa, we wouldn't take any other question. Okay, sure, thank you. So Honorable Bawa.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and my national officers present. I will speak please so that we'll just take it once. Needi kan no mesha asia fi question na ya ubisa question e di akire no. Biri kan di afi wo de so. Ubisa se wose yewura dadame antwida so se enka o madwuma wo se o mbekwa kwahwe nipa okum kaka na ade nti na ye chastise sa committee no. Needi kan no ye nyina ya nim se committee no aba abontia abeka se de tia yekum kaka no enye the social media activism na no ye nti de kum no nemum family feud ama daily guide apeja sa asem no e de aba abontia se omo banner headline how Baba Idi killed Kaka. So when who dia na twi wadwe akoso se attempt a omo edi atwe amanfo adwene afi ni esi wa adwira sekede ma se no ho enu nti na ene amanyoko NDC ye pese obi ahu no kura ewo asem no mu asem no me ne wo kasai police fo a omo ye asem no hwehwemu kura no omo nye enweye as late as 30th September, that's about 4 or 5 days ago, or 6 days, police officer from the national headquarters of CID. And the sound continue, you know, a bedra, echo, I can feel, echo say, Omuncha baby, not a man, egu. Wait, I say, case the police for crana, and Mrama Omo Quansa Omunian Crano. So what is the business of the Justice Kunsim Committee? Say, Omo try say ombehwe nipa kura ukum kaka. Ajanda na ba kope. Ekwa ebe fa so a ye be jai sa MPP for mrantie na omo di sa anyama se eni tra. Ne to subienu di odi kan bi sa asebika se NDC aban nyankopɔ boa ne eba asem ye behwe mu ana emi say sa asem ne de yewura a national communications officer lawyer Asemi fi edikan ya no da in the presser say crime has no expiry date me am gina hai obo di nyoma bi edi me ka show say beja me ato me da bia me ka show say crime has no expiry date e bring do ho a e be koso because say okoye obi boni na ufi se o aban mu nti obekata so na nyankopɔ bo na nipa kro so aban ba ono obegya wa na say crime no in expiry date and then mo aban mu mo go mo appointees mo control judiciary enti betimi aye dem pe bia nemum echeche wona fe asem we emu awrem sebe say be kunua wo obatan ma mene ne manyina akra akwara mienu pe kaka eni Baba Idi yakum kaka yasan be ti Baba Idi akọ abruwaran pese won yende emu awrem na sa saadi afusie na obeka sa asem no ensem a eda asem ni siye oba abontin be kae no emwa say police for any Justice Kunsim committee no it be a describable abi waka say demonstration kwa na onka honti one testimony o de by cry yanyintum na nipa obeka say won ne hu say nipa mienu edwane nkotima mienu eda ho na after 2 days Baba Idi wanko ba bia wone onu amamenum na oduanum nyina na wo ho na omu bubo omu nuan ewuo ho ena ye be friend say omra be ma statement or police station nuan who fi say obi a wadi sa boni we say anke be share so say nka ultimate enuan free ho enko but he was there wanko ba bia wonu bom ka say oh okosho ne mu asem na wasa aba ena yere achi Baba Idi abepo ni ensem no ye nyina obi a wonim odi adwura hyekyeruma se ye nsem achi bia be hu se enye sa ade we ene ade edi kan a wo mo aye sa etutu asem no e wa adwura ena sebe abi say kaka hu say ombeku no the senti at any given time bia no bibi obey bia no record bibi obey bia no record ye wo audios wo videos a baba yi di betu dwa se owu a asma senior benti a wo ye MPP for wo ye MC bodyguards ena omo akunu iti owu a former MC ena akunu ye wo audios a omo confront no na one won eyiyi ano ni nyina o record ni nyina. These are facts and evidences. Na se o ka che obi say ubekunu na ade bechi no wawu hwan na ekoso ni mu hwan na ekoso ni mu na onua no mumu a woni no ete ho woni bi ani wo muntem no ono na mumu na yakwa akoso ni mu sa justice kunsim the find this here or the by idea and try ye okwa the whole of Edra they say ubia kasa say there be ade we committee ne yete ya pen amanfo se we dey ya say ebe cover up committee and pass so omo ayam adina kwakoye cover up committee if you say so wo Vladimir Anchura so o ka kire say na no na enka mo nhihye ho a adenti na modi enu mom na modi di ka mo report the senti say mesre say Vladimir Anchura so fi say obi mom ene re sa finding no ebe share sa omo report no mu a omra bonti no meka na enyi free mu anya sa dia omuti so na tem bia no ye de sa sobo no ebebo na ye kan say no kware e ba kope kutumpo utwa obre akwada sa branch a aminu no a muka say obeka sa asem no ye nyina nim say sa time assembly si ye na oni adwura me na me ni adwura tibitimi nyina won ka say we na me hu ye no we na me hu ye na mom atututu no ye praka aka na oda hospital ade achi ye sika kro be hwe kwa na ye ni ka be jina ka se kaka wo jam party ni ba eso ye nyina contribute mi we send iska thousands ma omo se omo fanye na ye fa ehwe ne yare ade achi ya ene owu ye no ye nyina ni mi se ni ade ne sia ye de abasabasa yo ebeba eniti on the 28th no police for no ko a it be manage situation no e wa adwura abra ye de amu no e free kumase ekokodu adwura no send the uprising is sorry ye police for no ko they were able to manage the situation. I didn't na de che ye no sa situation no e ko ba say I escalate e ma ye ntimi enso anu bio if he say assembly see ade che no ami akasa so yorashi eko adwura ekodu adwura no me hu say and you might be a police for here for riot control, they had it. There was the water cannon. Maybe after the killing, so a lieutenant, I do say the man, no coy, no signing new person by one lieutenant Fiajo. What would you want to be you on free hole and a new people by? Oh, by the Bissam said, na commander, was I was water cannon, because more bullets was I, more tear gas was I. Now, why use live ammunition on innocent protesters? Police, you know, on buy an unbegging a free. Will be our footage to be a way. Say, so your phone and decay and sign a police for editor. But this is a civilian operation who should have been led by the police because they have been trained for that. But you know, a cocoa by and say, now ye deploy soldier for instructions, specific instructions, any of them. These are all questions, sir. I was saying, can you see him? They who the equity, the aircon say, and sir, mammy, Sadi of Sini, what take a cannon feel, a fear no air kaka, mammy, if ye, and a mammy, a tiffio, or high die of you. I don't see incident this year, and she was the first to come out. Or by a Bontino, as one they say, one the Queen Yanni Kakairi, any or mammy. It is a when you want to Bonibia, or by one who say, Onya and Abono, deɛ na sɛ wɔka kyerɛ abusuafoɔ no ɛsɛ wɔka kyerɛ abusuafoɔ no sɛ mu nua baaba yi di anasɛ ɔba baaba yi di ɔna abɔ ne nua no bibi wɔgyidie sɛ ɛnyɛ baaba yi di ɛna ɛbɔ nua no kɛyɛ baaba yi di a kamaame no ka ɔbɛka no there and then ɔntwɛn ɛma 2 days ansa na wakɔ akɔsesa n'ano ɛnɛ watu afiri fie hɔ na brabɔ mu so asesa ne sɛ ti ɛma questions bebree ɛba sɛ saa ne tiɛ di a ebia ne yɛahyɛ no kutupa sɛ ɔnkɔnkɔ da n'ano na ɔnka na yɛhwɛ kwan yɛbɛfa so a yɛbɛtumi aboa no ama n'abrabɔ mu atumi asesa ɛno nso na mmom deɛ yɛse ɔkɔ no adaka no mu ɔnkɔ aso na bakɔ gyina hɔ adanse a wobɛdi no wɔgyidie sɛ ɛda asɛm deɛ bɛdi ba no ɛda no bɛnu no ho sɛ wodii saa adanse kuro mu enti deɛ yɛka ne sɛ sogyafoɔ a ɛbaeɛ ɛbɛkum mmeranteɛ mmienu ɛpira a nnipa bɛyɛ mmiɛnsa a ɛnnɛ akwadaa a wɔadi mfeɛ 16 yɛtwa ne nan no saa recommendations a committee no ayɛ no adwurafoɔ yɛbo ɛnwo so. I speak for the people of Ejura and I say we are not happy about the recommendations. Because following Ejura, we saw wa soja fon kokrom ekoboro nkrofo keke. Obiangu. And but there and then the military high command no almost prescribe sanctions and punishment against all those who were involved in the atrocities of war. Soldier near sergeant, they reduce his rank to corporal. No, to last corporal. Share the number of years of beside as some beside rank, you know. And then those recruits Lukrano, the sanctions be to almost sure they cannot rise above a certain rank in the army. Officer no account almost refer to the bar Tamale for military tribunal. Na adenti and a way there, yeka se yenkonko review na yenhwe procedures ye no ebefa so yetimi enka emanema out the adwafo abusuafo a omo ahwe wo adehye ene omo prepare the ehwe ne se enipa na ombedi saa yamra sebo adwira no enipa na ombedi saa yamra sebo adwira no se committee ne agya atum se they use excessive force enti ene de ba side they just say they acted criminally enuti yempe kwan papa so na yemfa omo emfa so eno ene beboa ama abotoye wu aba sika etimi tonipa sika etimi to obi nan a yetwa sika etimi ma sebe ehu na ye betu adwuraman so no etimi afiri ho ndemom sa asohwe bamu a ebeboa ama obi bia ohwe ne de hye ebeboa ama obi bia sebe ne de hye ho kan no ne bo atode yemti ye sere se yemmom de se be prescribe punishment edi ama yewura Simon Semesa wonder say one year sa deployment that deployment I've always termed it reckless because was say one nko and our yes information so when you so one can move your auntie no remember do say any mranti or mo so instructions ben or the ma omo ekoko use excessive force ema enipa mienu ewuye ema enipa miensa so eprepraye yes say ya pese ehu say ya punish Simon Semesa ya pese ehu say ya punish the senator do say any mranti na omo call adwura no eno ele be ma adwurafo yebo atoyem ida wo bia say.
Thank you very much. I forgot also to acknowledge Loud Silence Radio. They also pick it live from USA. Thank you very much for being a part of this press conference. Kindly wait and then our team will come and see you. Thank you.